We have Susan Dadd. She's the Director of Site Logistics at Covestro, LLC. She's been working for the company for 24 years in various positions from engineering, optimization, reliability, turnaround, and logistics. Susan is the Vice Chair of the Cedar Bayou Navigation District and participates in the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce. She has been featured in several magazines and awards, such as the 2019 Step Ahead Award with Manufacturing Institute, Worker Mother Magazine in December and January 2014, Women Engineer Magazine in the winter of 2015, and Baytown Sun for volunteering at the Eddie Gray Wetland Center. Susan volunteers in the community for work and for pleasure, such as Baytown Covestro Chair for the United Way campaign. For our local church Bazaar faith leader, president of LCI Band Booster Club, and president of LCI LDC Booster Club. She resides in League City with her family and 2 sons. Please welcome Susan Dadd.
Much. All right, so they're going to bring up my slides. I'm going to have some interaction at least, so I'll want some feedback. So as I go through the presentation, I will ask you guys to be thinking a little bit and sharing ideas. Yes, and I have a master's in chemical engineering, and I was honored to hear some of the women in the room. My family also was not engineering based. My dad has a 5th grade education, and my mother went to trade school. And she did punch cards for engineers. So, you know, as you grow up in this industry, I've encouraged now more and more women to step out and to do that. And in our Baytown area, we have a lot of them, right? So it might be the first time they're going to college. But today I want to talk about engaging employees. I think what's really important is getting our employees and understanding what they need, right? And so that's a little bit about this. I work in a logistics area. So as you know, some of my people may have a high turnover. Some of those industries out there are taking my people away, okay? Thank you very much. And so I'm constantly figuring out how do I make sure that I have a solid workforce, that we can do everything safely. And so today I'm going to talk to you about a little bit of a campaign that we did. So let me go to my next slide. All right. Is that this one? Yep. Okay. All right, so about a year ago, it'll be a year, March 28th, I had an LOPC, and I wasn't very happy about that. And so we started thinking, let's look over what kind of incidents we have in our department. What's going on? Why are we even having them in the first place? And we found a lot of them are human-based incidents, human choices, right? And if you've ever been in a logistics, I don't have a robot that's gonna yet load the rail car or load the truck. Okay? So even though I have a lot of automation, I'm still manual. I'm still human-based. Someone has to make that decision every day. So after we did a lot of investigations and looking over those years, what are we finding? A lot of them is that one decision, that one moment. Okay, so as I speak for the next couple minutes, I want you guys to think of your industry, and I want specific examples. Doesn't matter if you're in HR, doesn't matter if you're in accounting, doesn't matter if you're in the plant. Think about an activity in your plant or in your environment that you should have thought twice about before doing, okay? And then I'm gonna ask for some examples. So with us, we decided to do a campaign going think twice, act once, good decisions lead to good actions. We rolled this out in hard hat stickers. We rolled this out in banners. You can ask Scott that works for Lanxess and not Covestro. He sees the banner that we've installed at the truck gate when he comes in the morning, right? So they're seeing it. It's right in front of them every minute. But I think what was important is engagement. You couldn't get your hard hat sticker until we're in a big group and all of us are going to come up with one of those examples. And that's why I'm going to ask you guys to share your examples, right? Every one of those 10, 12 people all had a different one. So what does that mean? We're doing a lot of thinking out there. Maybe part of your process, you will be like, I didn't think about that. You're right. I do need to think twice before I do that, right? And so all of a sudden it started this culture to be able to think about what you're doing again, one more time before you even do it. Before you open up that valve to that rail car or connect that hose, have you done everything you were supposed to do before you do that? Okay, so we started this campaign right after LLPC. Our anniversary is March 28th. And we've seen a very big change in our behaviors, a very big change. And so now our proactive safety, when we're out there, we're asking that. So what'd you have to think of twice today? Okay, Okay, so when you roll out something, you've got to keep it alive, right? For our anniversary, I'm getting more banners and more hard hat stickers already made up, okay? New employees come in, you got to get your hard hat sticker, right? We've got to keep the program rolling. And so I think a lot of this is the different perspectives of the employees. So I want to ask people in the audience now, I've given you guys some time to think. I want to ask for some examples. Something in your industry you would think, I really think my operators, my technicians need to think twice about this before they act. This is the interactive part. Acknowledging an alarm. Absolutely, right? Why is the alarm going off? Is there something deeper? Right? Ignoring an alarm, silencing it. I'm sure it'll go away in just a minute. Okay? Right? The engineers didn't put the alarm there to be ignored, right? There's something behind the alarm. And if you look into most incidents in industry, there were a lot of alarms before we got to the point where OSHA, no disservice, shows up at your plant, right? There were signs. So that's a good one. Any others?
Hello?
Yeah.
I've got to give some context here. So we had two operators. They were assisting a driver in unloading a truck of monoethylamine. For some reason, nobody has figured out the driver started moving the truck while it was still unloading, so of course the hose ruptured. And not one, but two operators ran into the area and were exposed by these vapors and ended up going to the hospital because all they thought about was the liquid is going to go into the drain. They didn't think about the aspect of inhaling those vapors.
Yeah, and that's a valid point, right? Thinking for a moment before acting, taking the keys of the driver, right? Here I am going to do an unloading activity, and so I always make sure, even if I'm doing proactive safety, I go up to the driver. Do you have your keys? Right? And if the answer is yes, I've got a big problem on my hands. Right? Because that can drive away. Okay, others?
Opening up the correct valve.
Opening up the correct valve, right? Making sure your lineups are right. Make sure that you have everything correct. Yes, sir?
The inverse of this is when I have an operator, it's one thing if they say, well, I wasn't thinking. What kills me is they say, well, I got to thinking about it. And then they decided that in this situation, they could get away with not following the rules. I'm thinking, you thought about it, and that's what you did? But sometimes it's not think twice. Stop thinking about it. Just follow the rules that you were given.
So great segue. Let me get to my next slide. Rules of engagement. This was the other thing we rolled out after the LOPC we had last year, right? There are rules, and for some reason, we don't follow them. Right? So let's just set the record straight. So the employees, shift supervisors, MEs, right, trainer, we came up with a set of rules. Now, this isn't an end-all rules. These are ones that we were most concerned if you violated them, we are in trouble, right? Every one of my logistic departments, because I don't run just one of them, every product at Covestro, I have the logistics department. So it's a little different when you're dealing with polycarbonate than when you're dealing with TDI or MDI, right? It's a little different with cast products. So everyone, HCL, Caustic, came up with their own rules of engagement. But what you're going to find here is, who do I call if I have a question? What am I going to do? And secondly, teamwork, responsibility. See something, say something. How many times you're not your brother's keeper, right? I knew the guy didn't wear his PPE. But, okay, we have a problem now. Now, we didn't just roll this out. We had everybody from top management down sign it. So we put them on big banners, okay? This is showing engagement. This is showing my commitment as their management that I will not accept them not wearing their PPE. I will not accept them bypassing something. But it also shows the commitment all the way down to the operators that I have working in my department. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up March 28th, so we reviewed our rules of engagement, They added a few lines or changed the wording or whatever they felt. And I am getting them remade up for our March 28th anniversary to re-sign, right? Because you have to keep it alive. I had one of my cast guys, they sat there and they were like, so tell me which ones are which. And he stands in front of his banner in the lunchroom, right? Engaging them, making sure they understand, and are they going to follow the rules of engagement? I want my people to go home the same way they came in, and if I do not enforce that, then I have a problem, right? So showing that commitment from the top down, okay? Someone once told me, so does she only stop contractors? Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. So that person said, nope, she'll stop anybody, right? I have a cheerleader voice, so I can be 20 feet away in a pipe rack and you're going to hear me. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that these rules, including the rules I have to follow, are followed 24 hours, 7 days a week, right? So I want people to go home the same way they came in. All right, so the next one, I implemented this, right, a year ago with my group, and we are seeing better results. We really are seeing a big improvement, right? So this means it's working, and we're going to keep it working. I'll keep our statistics going. And so as we keep tracking this and knowing how each of the warehouses are doing and each of the logistics areas are doing, we'll continue to make those improvements, and we'll track that success. When you engage employees, they get engaged. All of a sudden, I get this photo in my email. Susan, I thought you'd like this one. I thought, oh, this is interesting. The gentleman, nothing, too elaborate, wrote on one of the whiteboards in the Macrolon area, 10 steps to success that require 0 talent. Oh, that was kind of interesting. So I went and met the guy, Every new employee that comes into my department, I got to meet them. Kind of one of those social people, right? And they're like, okay. So I said, Gabriel, tell me a little bit about this. He goes, well, I'm finding in the workforce, right? This is the person at the level working. These are the kind of things that I think the employees really need to understand. Okay, well, let's take a look at it. I'm sure it's big, right? It's really complex. Be on time, right? That's kind of important. Right? Making an effort, right? Being coachable. Now, he made sure to circle this one, right? He was like, I need to circle this one, right? And I said, Gabriel, I really like this, that you felt that this is like important for the employees. This is kind of setting that culture. I go, I'd love to put them also in hard hat stickers and kind of like roll this out in banners. And he said, well, you know what? I'd love to be creative. Could I help make the logo? I'm like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. So he helped design the logo. That's engaging our employees. And he said his only request was, could he put his name down at the corner? By Gabriel, right? So how much do you think these employees are now going to engage, right? Knowing that their top management is paying attention to the things they feel they need on their floor. It's huge. It's huge. It's a huge impact, right? So I've got this one in production right now to get rolled out, right, with Gabriel. And so celebrate those successes. Make sure you get your employees engaged. It's a very, very, very powerful, positive impact. Because I think sometimes we need to be listening all the way down to the floor level, right? Because we have an idea what we think is happening, but is that really what's happening? And so we need to make sure and verify. All right, any questions at all? That is my last slide. I might even put us a little bit back on track. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Sometimes it's a little challenging when I know I didn't do the right thing. Do I stop, turn myself around, and go make the correction? So you got to walk the talk, practice what you preach. That way, you can make sure you help everybody else do the same.
Yeah, and that was part of our rules of engagement. You know, sometimes we had a mixed workforce. We have contractors and we have Covestro employees. And some of them would say, but your own people aren't following that. And that's why this kind of stemmed digging deeper into knowing what is really happening out there and making sure we're addressing it from the start. Good point. Okay. Well, thank you, Paul.
All right. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.